Trade your trading plans. Don't take too much risk on any one trade. And just let yourself get rich.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another exciting episode of The Rational Investor. I don't have a green screen today. This is what my real condo background looks like. It's not crazy fancy. I do have the flowers there. I'll let you guys guess if they're fake or real. Those are my clothes drying. The maid just hung today. That's a backpack I use sometimes over there. Over there is my kitchen, right over there. And then my bedroom is that way, but that's the bedroom and other places. So this is just like the living area. I could get a much bigger place, but honestly, seems like a waste of space. I really don't need that much. Why would I want to walk farther if I don't have to? But this actually place is considered huge for a one bed in Thailand. It's one of the biggest in the center of the city. It's not as big as like a house, but I just feel like that's a waste of space. Everything I kind of need is here. The biggest pool, one of the biggest pools in Bangkok, one of the biggest gyms at a condo. Very, very famous place. Won't go into too much detail. There's stalkers out there. I know who you are, and it's bad enough I'm showing the background here. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed the change of scenery. Mostly I did it because I was lazy to set up the green screen. I thought, why not have a background that's real this time? Maybe I'll buy some like neon lights and stuff, and then I don't have to set up the green screen. And I'll just press like a couple buttons over here on the wall. Anyway, hopefully you guys had a great week. I've got a lot to talk about as usual. We're going to get through this quickly, minimal fluff, straight to the point, and talk about a couple exciting things that have happened. We're going to talk about fundamentals, some things I discovered today. Not today, but in the past couple days with I talked to a lot of people who own significant businesses in different sectors, and they have a lot of different views about what's happening with the economy and where we're going in the future. And I want to talk to you guys about some of that. I realized that most of my shows are just like drone on about technical analysis, when a lot of times people prefer the macro stuff, looking at the big picture, what is potentially happening in the future. So I'm going to try to create more of a focus with that, and then relate it back to investments rather than just looking at the same stuff every week. Now, the really juicy stuff I'm going to talk about in the Afterparty, but I will talk about a couple things here. All right. I'm going to shrink myself. You got to see the place, my face. The reason it's a little bit red because I did sauna. I did the sauna for like an hour today. That's my little ritual / addiction. Okay, so there I am right there. Hopefully that's not too big. Let me make it a little bit smaller. This square, I guess, makes it a little bit annoying. All right, there I am in the corner. You could see me enough. So right now, this is the Bitcoin liquidation chart. Talked about this last week, Coin Analyze. Great site for trading Bitcoin on lower time frames. You use all the same things we teach at TRI, and then you use the liquidations as just kind of an extra metric, generally for lower time frame trading. When these liquidations get really big, that's when price usually reverses. So you can see right here was the bottom, 59,000. Massive liquidations here. That was your bottoming area. If you added them up, it was much more than these other ones. There were pretty big liquidations here, but this was really the biggest one. If we go to maybe like a 15-minute chart, it becomes more clear, right? So there you go. So here's the massive liquidation. It was 115 million. That's huge. Absolutely huge. Look how it dwarfs everything else. We had a few liquidations here, right? Down to 59,000, but the big one was here at the initial 60K. Then we waffled around there, and then we kind of had, you could almost think of it as like a divergence. Like here's your second big one where it went below the previous low, but it wasn't nearly as big as back here. And then that was kind of your signal for a buy. And just like how now we're liquidating shorts, see how we liquidated right here on this big spike, and now we're kind of reversing a bit and pulling back. So just something cool, little cool thing that you can use in your trading. I'm not saying use it 100%. It's just a tool. Consider incorporating it in your plan if you want to. All right, so Let's go to the news. What's going on here? What came out today? Let me make sure I'm on the right date. April 18th. Nothing big here. Existing home sales basically in line. Unemployment claims basically in line. Anything else here? Nothing really. I did notice about reverse repo. They drained it down again and then refilled it. So it got drained all the way down to 371 billion. That's the lowest I've ever seen it. You can see here the new low, and then it's kind of reversing as of yesterday. So it was at 445. Now they brought it back to 440, but they drained it for about 2 days. And you can see that here too as well in my charts. So if we look at this is kind of looking at liquidity, and you can see how originally they drained the liquidity. We kind of topped out. Keep in mind the yellow is Bitcoin and the orange is the market, and you can see how we kind of like topped out soon after. This happens, maybe this is like 1 week forward a little bit. Sometimes it's right in line, sometimes it's 1 week in advance. So they'll draw down the capital, and then it'll take 1 or 2 weeks to flow into the market, and the market will pull back. And you can see how we had that pullback, and now we're getting a spike higher again. And that relates directly back to the reverse repo and other things going on in the market to create this kind of liquidity metric, which has worked well to kind of track the performance in the market. And you can see how, massive amount of liquidity up here, everything sitting up here. Then we had the huge drawdown and everything fell apart. But you can see how they move essentially right with each other. So this is a pullback here, and then the market pulled back at the same pace. See, and then we had a pause, everything paused, and then we had the massive pullback, and the market pulled back at the same pace. And then we just kind of waffled down here for a while, and then we had the spike, and the market spiked up, so on and so forth. You kind of get the picture, right? So now we had that pullback, the market pulled back. Now we got a spike back, and the market's kind of put on the decline on pause. It'll be interesting to see what happens next. This doesn't update that often. I've kind of just been keeping my eye on reverse repo. So the last update was April 15th. So we can expect to get another update right here on the 22nd. So then we'll see next Monday what's happened. All right, so that's that. Let's look at US dollar. US dollar took off, right? So that's a big thing that everyone should be watching, and I've been talking about when we broke out of this downtrend. We're kind of hitting this midpoint. Not surprised that we're pausing here. Also on a weekly chart, RSI is coming into resistance right here. This would be considered basically resistance area. So there is a chance that the US dollar could pull back a bit, and then the market pushes higher, and then we can get that further push higher of the dollar later, possibly. That one I'm unsure on, but it's definitely run into some significant resistance here, although it is still quite bullish. And if we look at this as like a W and then a breakout, right? This is your W area. Where does chaos point to? I'm gonna be conservative here. So you can see how we tagged. This is what I want to see. I want to see that when I draw this chaos level, the first reversal point is a 1.618 tag. And that's what we got. And that helps me kind of confirm that my final chaos target is correct. So we could see something like this. And then finally a push higher to 2.618. Come down, tag this trend line, play in this area before finally getting that last push to 4.669. We might play in this area a bit before we go up. That's kind of what I would like to see with the dollar. That would make the most sense. And then obviously everything else will trade in the other direction. Okay, let's go to the S&P quickly. Look at the S&P on a weekly. Huge pullback here, right? This looks nasty. Look at this pullback. But what did I talk about before with these pullbacks? You want to see a divergence. So if we go back here to 2020, what happened? We got a nasty pullback, and then we got to push higher, and that put in the divergence, and then we had the huge rollover, right? Same thing here. You had the push up, pullback, slight pullback, and then a push higher. But in that case, the interesting thing is, if you notice, a lot of these scenarios, we stayed, this scenario and this scenario, we stayed above my trend heuristic channel, which is right here. This is the trend heuristic channel. We came down into the bottom range of it, and we never went through it. But the current market, we go here. I'm going to delete some of this stuff. We don't need to look at my circles. All right. Look at what happened here. We sliced right through it. Right through it. I would need to see a significant reversal here to feel more confident that this is not going to push lower. We could be having one of these scenarios where you see how we're tagging that VIP, and it happened here too, where we came down to this 20 EMA. This is a 21. I believe this is a 21 EMA right here. Yeah, 21 EMA. We tagged the 21 EMA and we bounced for about 2-3 weeks, and then we had the rollover. So you could get something like that where we bounce up to here, 5,200 or so, and then you roll over. It could do something like that. That is the more likely scenario I'm looking at, simply because the last time we had like a major divergence come in, or a rollover in price, things fell pretty quickly. Like, look at this in 2021. So you had the breakdown, same like here, right? So you had the breakdown, same like here, but this one went right through the 21 all the way to the 50. So that would put us at 4,700 down here. And then it reversed, waffled in that area before finally having the bigger rollover. This one's not like that at all, at least not yet. It's looking more like this 2023 scenario, but it's important to look at these other past events. So I would say we're somewhere in between this 2023 scenario and this 2020 scenario, and it all kind of depends on how the market closes this week and opens next week, and then we'll kind of know what scenario we're in, and that's what I'm looking for. If we go to a daily, you can see how the daily is trying to reverse, but we don't have any kind of TD 8 and 9 yet. Nothing that's come in to signal a bit of a bottom. We're already below the 50 EMA. We've completely broken the uptrend. Again, I can say that with 100% certainty. We have completely broken the uptrend. There's no longer an uptrend. The structure's been broken. Now we're looking for potential reversal as like a dead cat bounce to then consider shorts. So this is what I've been talking about. This is what I've been waiting for. I don't want to consider any longs either until this 4 hour breaks out and we're on the other side. So that's the other thing. Until then, it could just go lower. Pulling up a weekly chart again. As long as this weekly is above this VIP level, I wouldn't be getting too aggressively short. We want to see some kind of bounce, some kind of M come in, some kind of divergence form like this. Well, it wasn't actually a divergence. Price should have made a bit of a higher high, but you see my point. And then there was your breakdown scenario right there, right? So right here was the breakdown, this bar. If you looked on a lower time frame, you probably could have gotten in somewhere in this bar and then wrote it down until you hit this range. And this would be obviously a profit taking zone. We can even use fibs and see what happened back then, right? So if we do this, and we do this all the way to the lows, all the way to the midpoint, we can see we pulled back to 38.2 and continued higher. So where would that be here? If we're like this, 38.2 is right here at 4,600, or we move the fib up here to the most recent low, and it's at 4,800. That's kind of that would be like a first profit taking zone. And then you would look for lower. I would ideally, for a real pullback, I'd like to see us back here where we're in this 4350 and 4200 area. I would kind of just use support and resistance. Honestly, it's easier than in this situation. I think it's a bit easier than using fibs. So then you look at the major support zones, which would be here, right here, and then probably right about in this area would be solid. And then of course you have your 200-week moving average, which in the past has acted as a major support. You can see going back 200-week moving average, market consistently bounces from that area. 2020 was the only area where it went below. That must have freaked a lot of people out. But most of the time, this is a very solid area to consider as a buying opportunity. I know everyone right now is still kind of bullish and looking to long the dip. But I would stress a bit of caution on both sides. I think this could be a nice bit of a dip buying opportunity. But be cautious, because this could either continue lower or it could bounce, put in that. What I ideally want to see is that bounce. I want to see the bounce. I want to see some kind of divergence come in. And then I'm going to jump into shorts very, very aggressively. I had some shorts up here. I took profits on a lot of them down here already. I have about 30% left, just because I'm not 100% sure if this moves really over. Once this 4 hour breaks out, though, I will close the rest of the short. That's my plan. So again, I don't know why it's not showing on this chart, but I want to set this alert. If RSI crosses this ray, I can exit my shorts. I don't know why it's not showing here. I have it on my phone. Okay, so that's the S&P. DXY I already talked about. Which crypto do I want to jump into crypto, or do I want to talk about some stocks still? Well, so one thing I want to mention, and I'll go into detail about it. I wanted to talk about Tesla. That was what I wanted to talk about. Tesla. Tesla's not doing so great. Why is Tesla not doing so great? Well, because Chinese car makers are just destroying them as far as price versus basically just product appeal. It's destroying Tesla. They're way cheaper and the specs are almost the same. Now in real life, are they as good? Who knows? I haven't tried them. I don't know. But what I do know is that here in Thailand, consumers are buying Chinese electric cars way, way, way more than they're buying Teslas. And there's a reason for that. The specs are better for a much cheaper price. In some cases, almost 50% cheaper. It's crazy. So Tesla is not doing well. They just hit my first support level at 150. My next level is down here at 130. So the question is, could there be a reason that Tesla is being destroyed, though, and people are selling Teslas more than just because the automobile sales are down? Could it be that the major investment firms that control a lot of these stocks are purposely dumping Tesla shares to dump the price, to get it to a very low price so that retail dumps it, so then they can buy it up for what is actually coming? Do you guys know about what Tesla is shifting towards? Tesla's shifting from a car company to something totally different. Does anybody know? I'm going to give you like a minute. See if you can guess. It's been talked about. It's public knowledge. A lot of people are talking about it. So if you've studied Tesla even a little bit, then you know. Not the robotaxi. Nope. They've talked a lot about robotaxis. Cyber robots. Sammy, what do you mean by cyber robots? Not brain chips. No. Sammy was the closest. I wouldn't call it cyber robots though. All right. Who watched the Jetsons? Have you guys, I'm sure most people here know the Jetsons, right? And they had the maid that was the robot. So Tesla has advanced very far with basically robots that can replace humans to do basic factory work, house cleaning, that kind of stuff. They call it Tesla Optimus. And were showing it year by year before, but then they noticed that Chinese manufacturers were starting to really copy them. So they kind of stopped talking about it and showing it. But apparently, I've heard rumors that it should be ready for this summer. And if it's successful, think about, and what they're going to do, what their plan is to sell these robots by the hour. You pay them like an employee. They do the job, the manual labor of a normal employee, but it's only like $4 an hour. While a normal employee, you got to take $10 an hour, $16, $15 an hour. Soon they're trying to do $15 an hour minimum wage. If you can get the robot for $5 and it never takes a break, never has to go to the bathroom, never complains, you program it once, it does exactly what you tell it to, why would anybody hire humans and pay humans? So my thinking is that Tesla is getting dumped, yes, because the car sales are not doing well and China's destroying them. But what if it's getting sold off so that retail sales, and then when the Tesla Optimus robot comes out and their numbers like skyrocket and you see hundreds of thousands of these things all over the place, the stock, 5X's or something. Possibility? Maybe. So anyway, consider looking into it. I think I looked into it. I thought it was interesting in a very, very scary way. But everyone is doing it right now. And I personally would prefer that Tesla and Elon Musk is behind the biggest robot factory in the world rather than, say, China. Just my personal preference. So hopefully that's something that a lot of you haven't been thinking about and heard about. And now you're thinking about it and seeing the potential for this. I mean, how many jobs are just like cleaning jobs, right? Where the robot you can just program the robot to clean with a mop and stuff. I mean, why couldn't it do that? McDonald's jobs, they already have in a lot of places here in Thailand where you just pick on the machine what you want. And then they just replace the burger flippers and everything with the robot. Easy enough. I mean, in concept, maybe it doesn't work that well. I'm not sure. But it's a possibility, right? Especially like factory workers, something like Amazon factory workers, right? Carrying packages and things like that. I don't see why robots that can see and analyze things and use AI, why it wouldn't work. But I think Tesla has to crash a bit first, right? Has to come down. Anyway, it's at my first support level. I'm still watching it. Still a negative outlook. Not buying here. Waiting for it to go lower. But it hit my first target. I wanted to point that out. There is trend line. There is support at this level. RSI has broken down. It's not a terrible buy level. I want to see this gap fill at least, and earnings are coming out. You don't want to trade this ahead of earnings. I don't think earnings are going to be good. I think they're going to be really bad. So that could provide the excuse to really dump the stock lower. But it's always a crapshoot with earnings. Something to watch, something to keep an eye on. I don't have a trade on it right now. I'd prefer to watch until after earnings. That's going to be next week. So next Thursday, we'll talk about it. See what happens. Touch base on it. That's Tesla. Wanted to talk about that. Let's go to Bitcoin really quick. Talk about what's going on with crypto. And then I think we're going to call it a day with the show, and I'm going to go to the after party because it's been 24 minutes already. You guys get 6 more minutes publicly, and then you're cut off. Just cut. And if you want more, you know where to find us. TRI, free trial. Or sign up for a lifetime membership, and you never have to pay again. That also works. Okay, so great job, Juan. Very nice. Wow, you're like superstar trader right down here, right below, right at the liquidity running event. Okay, well, so here is right up here is the resistance area. Yeah, I see what you're doing. You're looking for liquidity zones. So right here would be the area that would take out liquidity. That actually makes sense. I can't disagree with that. If I was going to trade this short term right now, I would say we're still in this downtrend. If you look at this daily chart, we're reversing. We hit a 7. There is a bit of a reversal happening here. You can see on a 1 hour, price is becoming a bit exhausted already. We've got an 8 coming in. However, if we take this as the range, and I've showed you how I use fibs to trade ranges, right? And this is the high, and this is the low of the range. Actually, I want to be a little bit more conservative here. Then where you start considering shorts is actually at 61.8. So, you know, what I sometimes like to do if I'm going to short something is I will short at 61.8 a little bit, and then I'll short more at 78.6, and then I'll short the maximum 88.6, and I'll set my stop right above the previous highs. So like right up here. It would make sense. It wouldn't make any sense for Bitcoin to not at least take out these highs and hunt this liquidity. At least take out this liquidity, and if it's gonna head lower, then it'll head lower. I'm going to keep my eye on this coin analyze that I talked to you guys about for liquidations. You can see a bunch already came in, but if we head higher, I think we'll get a lot more significant amount of liquidity right up here, right above 64,500. Yeah, that makes perfect sense, Juan. And that is the area that they want to go to hunt that liquidity. You also have it right here. So right above this final candle right here. 64,900 would be better to me. Right above that final wick right there. So that's what I would like to see, and that's what I would consider if I was looking to short. Could price just head higher? Yeah, sure. It could. But I think on the daily it's still kind of bearish. I don't know if this is over yet. Alts are still looking kind of weak. If we look at total. By the way, Etsy comes out with earnings. I'm going to talk about Etsy in the after party. I've got some information about Etsy that I want to talk about. If we look at the total, right? So the fact we broke down from this 50 EMA concerns me. I don't like that we did that. That is not a good sign. And 38.2 is down here. I would like to see us at least tag that 38.2. But I think before we can hit any lower, price wants to take out this liquidity up here. That would make a lot of sense to me. So that's what I'm kind of seeing. 15-minute chart is already starting to break down, but I can't see this breaking down without, you know, at least doing this, at least grabbing that before it breaks down. So that's kind of what I'm looking at there. I'm watching things like Rune. Rune's been destroyed. I've got a bunch of crypto coins I'm looking at and considering. But, you know, TRI is big on Rune, so I've been watching that. Still bearish to me. I've nibbled a bit down here since this was a potential reversal zone, but I have a lot more dry powder in case we come down below 3 and we even come down to $2. This $2 is my like big buy level if we can come down to this area. I would love to get in at like $2. So that's what I'm watching. I've got a bunch of other coins that I'm going to talk about in the after party. Things I'm looking at that I think could do well. Some reporting. Chris Yord is at the crypto, what is it? Crypto 2049 or something in Dubai right now. And he's reported in on a few interesting things. So I might talk about a few of those in the after party. And I also have 1 or 2 other stocks that I might talk about besides Etsy that you saw. I think I'm going to touch on Boeing. Boeing's kind of rolled over a lot, but it's looking like it's making a bit of a juicy bottom. We'll touch base on the metals. Got to talk about those. Is silver going to go to new highs? Or are we going to get a pullback? And like I said, a couple crypto coins. And we're going to look at a few boomers like BCH, LTC maybe. And anything else that you guys want to talk about. It's your time. So, okay, that's it for the public show, and everything I just talked about, mentioned, I will talk about in the after party. So I'll see you guys there. All right, bye guys.